Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you have the opportunity to join me, I'm Dr. Jan. I am your tour guide on our journey with Jesus. Now, you know, this journey is a personal journey for me that I am including and desiring that you come along with me. If you are a faithful follower, you're going to say, but where were you yesterday? Well, there were some events that came into my life that, again, I'm not complaining. By the time it was late afternoon and ready to record, I just had to sit quietly and say, oh, dear God, talk to me. I know what the topic is, but and you know what? I just had already been being quiet and spending more time just recuperating from the activities and agenda that had become very busy earlier in the day. So there is no condemnation. However, I don't want that to be a regular happening. However, there are so many new things that can also be shared. That was yesterday's topic that is still today's. We are going through Romans chapter 8, and we are unpacking the nuggets of what is God saying to us, because when we read through it earlier in the week, it was just sort of words. And I just can't be faithful to God when we just read it out of rote and say, okay, we did it. It's like, well, what are you saying to us? So the previous episode was Romans chapter 8, verse 1. There is now no condemnation. We are now in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And can you believe one of my morning devotions this morning also brought another Romans 8 in, but I'm skipping to 8:28. And I want to read it because, again, you know, we say a memory verse over the years and we may sort of transpose it. You know how they do the telephone game at some of the parties, and by the time it gets to the end, it's not always what it had been. So I just want to read, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And so the item that I want to really share today, and we may have to do a Romans 8:28 part B tomorrow, same. I had been talking with my dad a couple of days ago, and, you know, we were just remembering that sometimes in life we may get very discouraged or disappointed when things don't go our way. That we have a scheduled appointment, like, yes, I didn't do my recording yesterday, or we go out headed somewhere and the flat tire, or we get in a traffic jam and we want to complain. Do we not know that God may be delaying us so that we are protected from something else? And so my desire is that when we come into contact with things that sort of don't go with our planned events, instead of getting huffy and mad, well, why is this happening? And we just become such bitter people that, okay, God, well, thank you. What is the opportunity that you are bringing my way because of this delay or this change of plans? Well, several weeks ago, you know, we started talking about there had been a gentleman who went out and his job was changing tires. Well, you know what? He didn't want to be awakened at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. This was not in his plan, but he was a Christian, and the young man that he went to rescue and to fix his tire had been contemplating suicide. A life was saved, and he also was reunited with his mother, and who was a praying mother. And so I'm believing, I haven't heard the rest of the story, but I'm sure this young man is being wooed and drawn into a relationship with Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, we should be joyful, not because of the circumstances that might be negative, but it said in and through the circumstances. So I'm just encouraging you. Look back over your life, because sometimes we don't see how everything has worked together for good. Why did you not get that job? Why did you get rejected from such and such? I mean, I have plenty that I have been able to rehearse, and I go back and I say, oh, thank you, God. In hindsight, I am so thankful for where I am today, and that all of those things did happen. I wouldn't want to change them, but they have made me the person I am. They have been woven together to be part of the fiber and character of who I am today. So my challenge is, before we get even in more detail about all things working together for good, didn't say the bad things that God causes them. He doesn't. But he can take those bad situations and he can flip it and he can turn it so that it is the good for you. I believe, and I know, not like I just believe, I know that God has a plan for you. He has a plan for me and every individual, a plan to prosper us and not to harm us. A plan that he wants through our lives to bless those around us, our family, our friends, our community. What is in us that God has birthed that only we can give? So, ladies and gentlemen, there are some people who you will be the only Jesus they will know. And that's why we're taking care of this inner heart. And we want our lights to so shine. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Make sure you follow, like, share, comment. I'm wanting us to be excited about this journey. Not necessarily excited about our circumstances because they're not going to be pretty every day. Yes, we want to live on the mountaintop, but so often we live in the valley. We live in the muck and the mire, but we are the light in the muck and the mire. And where there is light, darkness must flee. Thank you for following, watching, commenting. I'm Dr. Jan. You're on this journey with me, and Jesus is our guide. Journey with Jesus. Thanks, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.